Racing through the mall, I again reached the bookstore, the store that marks the edge of this branch of the complex. I put a hand on the glass pane of the window and looked through, peering this way and that for any sign of Typhoon's abomination. "Where are you bastard?" I mutter as I cautiously push through, taking the key from my pocket and brandishing it like a weapon. The door squeaks as I step inside and it closes behind me. Step by step, I walk the length of the room, round the statue of the agonized Titan and between the still and silent escalators. Nothing. Though this is not a necessarily good sign, it likely followed on after the trio. Already across the room, I push through the next set of doors and out into the corridor beyond. To my left and right are more stores, endless, blurry, and unidentifiable stores. I look down on my watch, and a sharp chord is played on the distant orchestra. I wonder if perhaps I'm wasting my time. These kids have brought this fate upon themselves, after all. I notice a trash can knocked to the ground. There's no trash inside it, of course, but a decent indicator of where they might have gone nonetheless. I take the corridor beyond it, to the left. The pattern on the floor here is covered in a subtle, false shadows. It gives the impression that it rises and falls in unusual places, making it difficult to move in a straight line. I think about Rex, about the young man I saw that one time while starting my shift, about the look in his eyes, my fellow guardian. Bryce is his brother. He might be a little shit, but Rex is a watcher of Tartarus, damn it. A gatekeeper, like myself, and I am just not one to leave people behind, if I can help it. The stores here stand at weird angles. A bench beside me is longer and thinner at one end than it is on the other. It looks normal when viewed from a certain angle, but from any other it's strange and disturbing. The way ahead branches into 3 paths, and I come to a stop, catching my breath. Which way did they go? As I consider the options, a clear drop of liquid falls in front of my face, splatting quietly against the ground by my feet. I look up, and above me is an abomination, perched against the ceiling and staring right at me. I mean, it has no eyes, so it's technically not staring at me, but it might as well be. It certainly feels like it. Its body is angled towards mine, and a low hiss reverberates out from its enormous mouth. Quietly, slowly, I edge away. You know where they went, don't you? I murmur. Don't get distracted by me now. You just keep going and I'll follow.
Follow the yellow brick road. Bricks and stones may shake my bones. I don't want to go to the theater tomorrow.
It rambles in a low, wet voice. It licks its teeth and creeps just a little bit closer to me. No, I warn, heart pounding, reaching into my pocket to grasp the key to Tartarus. Keep going on your way.
Which way to the train station? He tells me we are running out of time.
It creeps closer. This one is interested, it would seem. These things can be tricked though. There is a formula which has varied results. The nonsense they spout. They react to things around them, but sometimes they provide glimpses into their former lives. You can use this against them. The theater, I begin, standing my ground. There's no room in the upper deck. We have to go down to the lower floor.
Lower the flag. The parade will end soon.
The abomination whispers as the sweat down my back starts to chill. Still it creeps closer. Saliva drips to the ground with another wet splat. Lower, I repeat. Lower levels. The end. There are lower levels than this.
Lower levels. Lower.
The lower levels are worse. There are worse levels below. The lower levels are worse. There are worse levels below. I brandish the key before me and it glints violet in the light. The abomination pauses.
There are worse levels below.
it repeats. We regard each other for a moment more. The lower levels are worse. There are worse levels below, and I could send you there. I finish, and the abomination is done. With a little hiss, our twisted palaver is done, and it turns from me, continuing along its way, crawling across the ceiling. I check around to see if there are more, and once I am happy, I follow along after it. It'll have Bryce's scent by now, if none of the others. I'm careful to keep a comfortable distance, but I feel sure enough to return my key to my pockets, glancing around warily as the abomination leads me deeper into the labyrinth. Through corridor after corridor, the sound of hissing grows louder. Through passage after passage, and at last, there they are. Around this final corner, stood in the middle of a wide intersection of varyingly sized corridors, are my trio, Bryce, Blue Hoodie, and the girl. They stand in the shadow of another marble Titan statue. The ceiling is higher in this section of the mall, and the Titan towers up towards it. Its upper chest, head, and shoulders are above the mall's next level. It looks like there are more stores above us, but there is no way to reach them. The Titan's fists are balled in rage, an emotion frozen in time. The abominations are creeping their way around almost every visible surface. There must be at least 50 or more. Jesus, I murmur. Bryce is hurriedly reading through the pages of a small notebook. Blue Hoodie and girl are standing on either side of him, sweating and anxious, watching the encroaching abominations. Blue Hoodie spots me first, and he nudges Bryce. The three of them look over to me, and Bryce grimaces, stowing the notebook away in his pockets. "Why are you still following us?" he asks, his voice echoing around the space. I cringe and glance from abomination to abomination. "They're not going to hurt us," Bryce says, though he doesn't sound too convinced. I know what they are, or what they used to be." "You don't know jack shit," I reply. "Now what do I have to do to convince you to come back? There are people who care about you, you know? Not me particularly, but people." Bryce half smiles and raises his voice. "Typhoon!" he shouts, to a sudden shiver of hissing around the room. "I want to make you an offer!" I shake my head with gritted teeth as a cool draft blows down the nearest corridor.
Hello.
Typhoon replies. All eyes look up to see him leaning over the rail of the floor above us, peering down with that grin stretched wide across his face. He has taken the form of Bryce, an altered Bryce, of course, pure white with those black, unblinking eyes. The three kids draw a little closer together.
What do we have here?
Typhoon asks as he drifts down from the rails like smoke, settling on one of Titan's knees and resting there.
2 young gentlemen and a young lady.
He looks over to me. His gaze is, as always, cold.
These fine folks with you, mine us.
Typhoon, I mutter, raising a hand. Just let these ones go. Typhoon laughs, and the abominations, all perched in weight around us, echo the sound with a series of hisses.
Let them go. I am not keeping them.
Typhoon's attention drifts back to Bryce, and he leans forward, resting his chin on his hands. His snake-like tongue flickers out from his mouth.
You think you have an offer to make me, young man?
I know you like to make deals and bargains, Bryce begins, reaching into his pocket, but Typhoon interrupts.
Oh, do you? Do you now? You must know all sorts of things. How clever, a clever man.
His grin stretches wider still, cracking the corners of his mouth. Echo the abominations, hissing.
Cleaver and clever needs to be clean. 4-leaf cleaver.
My blood chills.
And what kind of deal, a bargain, would you like to make with me today?
Typhoon asks, staring down into Bryce's face. Bryce swallows and draws from his pocket the key to Tartarus, his brother's key, glinting purple in the light.
What the hell are you doing?
I hiss to him, but he ignores me. I will give you this key, Typhoon, Bryce says. He's doing his best, but he does not sound as confident as he did before. I'll give you the key to Tartarus, in exchange for something of equal value.
And what would that be?
Typhoon asks, the purple silver shine of the key reflecting in those black pools of his eyes. Release all the abominations attributed to R. Just let them go.
Now that is an interesting request.
Typhoon replies after a pause, slithering around the Titan's knee and standing instead on its foot. A little closer to us, but still a meter or so above the ground level.
Attributed to R, you say? Well, I don't have the first idea which of my playthings were the responsibilities of your brother.
You're a liar, Bryce replies, though still trying to keep his composure.
So R is your brother then?
Typhoon grins, flickering his tongue.
I thought I picked up on a family resemblance. Noted. So you stole his key. Are you sure that it's really yours to offer in trade?
Bryce falters. Typhoon chuckles and speaks on.
And I'm not lying to you. It's so difficult to keep track on who sends me my playthings. And why would I care? It matters not to allow them down.
I watch this back and forth with white knuckles and a clenched jaw. I do not know if Typhoon is truly interested in the key. He's never expressed any particular interest in mine, though it is possible Bryce knows of something I don't. Bryce grips the key a little tighter, holds it a little higher. Let the abominations go! That's why my brother keeps doing his job. Year after year. It's because he cannot forgive himself. He can't forgive himself for all the people he's let through. And he'll never stop coming here until they're all free. Typhoon starts making his way towards Bryce. His steps are slow and lazy, but his eyes remain fixed resolutely on the boy.
Do you know what I would do with this key? I would use it as a bait. Your brother will come down here to try and retrieve it from me. I don't know how he'll get down without a key. He's a smart lad. He'll find a way. I doubt his employers would accept such a loss.
He grins.
If they know you were able to steal his key in the first place, well, then the damage might already be done.
Bryce lowers his hand a little. He stutters. His employers? Typhoon says, his eyes flashing.
So you don't know everything then? Interesting. So very interesting.
He's standing right in front of Bryce now, looking directly into his eyes.
Your offer is a fun one, but I don't accept offers made by mortals. Allow me to propose one of my own.
Is this Bryce's plan? I wonder. A bargain? And a dangerous one at that. I rack my brains as to how to get him out of this. But the next phase kicks in even as I mull it over. Typhoon's attention flickers back to the key. That same violet light shines into the void, and his tongue darts out past his teeth. And in this moment, Bryce suddenly raises his voice. "The lower levels are worse!" he shouts. "There are worse levels below!" There is a rumbling of hissing from around the room, but my stomach drops. "That's not going to work on Typhoon, kid!" I shout at him. "You have no idea what you're doing! Enough is enough!" But Bryce carries on. He holds the key in the manner that one would hold a cross in the face of a vampire. "The lower levels are worse! There are worse levels below!" Typhoon is entranced, fixed on the key. He does not move, and I do not believe what I am seeing. No, surely not. This simple trick, it wouldn't work on Typhoon. It couldn't. It barely works on the abominations.
The lower levels are worse! There are worse levels below! And I will send you there!
Bryce finishes, and in this exact moment, the kids to either side of him, the boy and the girl with their eyes downcast and barely moving, extras, even not worth a second look, completely devoid of Typhoon's attention, jump suddenly into action, and two sharp blades, long knives, drawn from inside their clothes, are stabbed into Typhoon's chest. There is a sudden scream and a blast of icy Arctic wind. The abominations and the kids and myself are all knocked backwards as the screech echoes round and round the hall. The elbow of the great marble titan cracks and dust rains from its joints. Typhoon twitches in agony, and he collapses like a stone to the ground with a thud. And for a moment, we are stuck in a stunned silence. The abominations are likewise frozen. No one dares move. And then a dark grin spreads out across Bryce's face. He looks at me.
You see?
He begins quietly, then louder.
You see what I told you, old man? It worked!
He looks down at Typhoon's corpse, the tension now eased. He releases a laugh.
You couldn't help yourself, could you?
He taunts.
That's when you're at your weakest, when being offered something you want.
Bryce laughs and hugs his friends, drawing them closer. He's giddy with excitement.
That was for Rex!
He shouts with glee. He turns to the abominations.
You are free!
But the abominations do not rejoice. The mood cracks. Typhoon whispers with delight. Bryce spins around in alarm to find Typhoon standing behind him, his hands clasped behind his back. The corpse vanishes in a burst of mist. Bryce panics and stumbles, shoving the key into Typhoon's face. Typhoon pushes it aside with a sigh, his tongue running quickly over his teeth as if it had a mind of its own.
I don't want your key.
Typhoon hisses. He twitches.
I don't need it to lure down your brother. He comes down all the time. And Rex, you say? His name is Rex.
Stay back!
Bryce splutters, his courage completely shot.
The lower levels are worse! There are worse!
Typhoon laughs in Bryce's face and increases his height. He's still using the boy's form, but it grows, now stretching upwards like a snake. Typhoon laughs feverishly, drunkenly almost. He looks up to the sky and laughs all the louder.
Rex! A noble name. What's in a name, eh, Bryce?
He stares suddenly down into the face of the boy, his black eyes shining and terrible. I have begun my retreat, careful and slow. I beckon to the others, the blue hoodie and the girl, and they have begun to creep towards me, but Bryce is trapped, transfixed.
This was fun.
Typhoon says airily, tapping Bryce on the head.
But I think we're done now, Bryce.
Typhoon has begun to salivate grotesquely. Saliva spills from his lips and splashes against the cold floor below.
I can't wait to meet him. We have so much to discuss.
Typhoon's neck slithers around and his eyes meet mine.
I made him the same offer I made you. Minos.
He whispers.
I wonder if he'll be more inclined to agree when his brother lies below. Especially now that I know his name.
I take a step back as the abominations close in.
What have you done, kid?
I murmur.
What have you done?